Arts Fest is this wonderful collaboration of many entities. It was a dream of the mayor, Jim Boulay, to bring the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen to the streets of Concord to celebrate our organization, but also all of the wonderful arts and cultural organizations in the city of Concord. Main Street has changed dramatically with a major project they did on it, and we wanted to celebrate this beautiful city that we have our central office in. We're really fortunate that we have so many artists from the League, but we also have some invited artists. Primarily, League members are in the show. The League is well known for its jury process, and we represent the finest craftsmen who are making crafts at this time. So it's really exciting having this be the second annual show, because we were actually able to increase it with more artists, because the show was so successful last year that many of our juried artists came to us and wanted to be a part of it. So we've increased the show by about a third. So we're at 70 fine juried artists from the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen, as well as some invited from other organizations, and some food vendors as well.
I etched my first plate in 1980, and by the time I'm 1,000, I'll probably be pretty good at it. It's definitely something you can learn for the rest of your life, and it just teases you to try things you never tried before and try how to figure out how to capture a texture that you have been brainstorming over for a decade and then finally get it. It's a hoot. Granite, for instance, is a texture I've thrashed at for many plates. My name is Christopher Morrison, and I'm one of the League juried craftsmen at the Capital Crafts Show. This is the second year for the Capital Crafts Show, and we take over downtown Concord, and they put tents right over the main street, and it's buzzing with people. There's a lot of people coming through. I make etchings, and I work in color, inking them by hand. My land is a celebration of our public lands, so I'm trying to get people interested by tapping into their interest in getting out there. And most people start a dialogue with nature from a recreational point of view, and it grows into something where they could actually contemplate what needs to be preserved, and they can take an active role in becoming more of a conservationist than they thought they were. But have to get out there to start that dialogue with nature. And so that's what I hope to do with my work, is to add a little humor, a little metaphysics here and there, and make people think about enough to get them out. The newest piece is right behind you. It's a piece of a mama bear and her cubs in their den hibernating, and the cub is playing solitaire. So obviously, if you thought you had trouble with insomnia, if you had to sleep for the entire winter, it would be a much bigger issue.
My name is Kay Sweet McNamara. The name of my company is Amy Runs with Scissors, and I live in Andover, New Hampshire. I'm a textile artist, and in particular, I work in soutache and bead embroidery, as well as being a milliner and a hatter. Most of my work is straight up needle and thread, so traditional handheld needle, single thread, one bead at a time, one stitch at a time. I've been a stitcher all my life. My mom made a lot of my clothes when I was a little girl, so she taught me how to sew when I was really young. So that was really my first medium, and as many different kinds of art as I've experimented with over the years, clay, paint, I always come back to fiber over and over again. I have been a member of the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen, I want to say since 2010, but don't hold me to it. I could be off by a year.
Now, what sort of benefits do you get?
It's a lot of things. There's a lot of support from the league themselves, the people who do all the administration and run it. For me, however, there's a sense of family and legacy. My grandmother was a member, and so in my family that was always held up as the kind of the high point of being a craftsman in this state. If you were going to be an artist, if you're going to be a craftsman, being a league member was something to aspire to.
Okay, my name's Andy Hampton. I'm a member of the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen here in Concord, New Hampshire, and I live 15 miles east in Chichester. Well, I'm a production potter, so I usually set up and I make 30 things at a time, 30 or 40 things at a time. So if I'm doing mugs, of course, I'll sit down and I'll throw like 50 mug bodies, and then I'll make the handles and put the handles on like a couple of days later because things have to stiffen up. But if I'm working with making a box or something like that, there's much more work in each individual box, so I will make maybe 15 of them at a time and then make another 15 right after that while I'm still sort of in the groove. Yeah. Okay, my favorite pieces to make are actually the boxes and the square vases, which are done mostly by hand, and then the other stuff is done on the wheel. But the stuff that really excites me now is the stuff that's made on by hand with either an extruded tube or slabs.
So you're a wood turner. What goes into that?
It's really a lot of fun because I'm using wood that would normally be discarded and come into firewood probably. So people call me up and say, I'd like to see something made of this. I don't want to see it to go in firewood. So I go see it and we make them something, usually out of hardwood. So I turn maple, cherry, walnut, any kind of hardwood, not so much on the softwood. My favorite wood would be maple, sugar maple, and I turn everything green. So I love turning green maple because, well, it's easy to turn, and it smells nice, and the water just comes off the bowl and just spurts you right in the face. So it's really pleasant, a lot of fun to do. I've been in with the league. I started turning in 2008, and I think I got juried in a few years later, 2011, I'm thinking. So yeah, and I've enjoyed being a league member, the opportunities they offer, obviously, fairs like this. So hey, it's a lot of fun.
Hi, my name is Marcia Press, and I am Carla Press, and we are the Meshuggah Hat twins.
Meshuggah Hat twins. How did you come up with a name like that?
Well, Meshuggah is a Yiddish word, and it means crazy in the head. Seemed appropriate, especially when you're talking about some partners or something. So that's what we do. We make hats. Well, I think we get the inspiration from looking at vintage styles, and we've always embraced vintage clothing. By vintage, we don't mean from the 50s or 60s, but we're talking about the 20s or even earlier. And so we've taken some different kinds of ideas from different periods, including the Renaissance, and restyled them in our own interpretation. And all of our hats are reversible, and many of them have wires in them so that they're meant to be styled in different kinds of ways.